interaction with real people attached to the film, whether it's Vikram Batra's brother, whether it's his parents, kind of kept subconsciously preparing me for this lovable Punjabi boy who went on to become this very heroic soldier. I just dived back into work to get many of these response in the future. So none of the above. It's just I was happy I was shooting for Mission Majnu. Rashmika is going to be one person to look out for in Hindi next year whenever we release Mission Majnu. I've tried negative, whether it's an Ek Villain or whether it's an Ittifaq. So I've kind of dabbled with it in those two films, playing kind of grey shades. We don't differentiate between any diaspora, whether we go to the US, whether we go to London, whether we would be in Dubai. There is a massive fan following for Hindi movies.
Sidharth, as you're aware, there are thousands of questions that your fans have been sending in.
Yes.
We have selected a few. Let's see, and let's try and take as many as we can. Okay, so this is Zaina from Singapore. After the success of Shershaah, what is the space you are at? Resting on your laurels, being extremely selective about the numerous opportunities coming your way, still waiting for the right project, none of the above.
Well, I actually dived back into work, which I was very happy about, because I think the best way to react to this kind of love and adulation, of course, I have an immense amount of appreciation, as we spoke before. But I think the best way it's a great motivating factor for any actor, for any creative person at my stage, that, okay, this is the level of performance, or this is the level of effort that has to go in from me. So I just dived back into work to get many of these response in the future. So none of the above. It's just I was happy I was shooting for Mission Majnu.
I'm about to do an interview with Rashmika after this interview. So any message for her?
Well, she's a new puppy mom, and she's obsessed with her pup. So I have not met her puppy. So say hi to her and her puppy if she's chatting from her house.
No, she's. I'm doing an in-person interview with her shortly. So.
You're doing it in person. Oh well, yeah.
She's called you a superstar.
Well, she's been too kind. I think we've had a wonderful working experience. Rashmika, I've seen her first film. I saw it many years ago, Kirik Party, and I think it was meant to be for our film to be her first Hindi film. She worked really hard to get the dialect, an Urdu dialect. She has very expressive eyes and very expressive face. And I had read about that before. Her fans keep writing about it, and I could see it on camera. We just finished shooting, so I think Rashmika is going to be one person to look out for in Hindi next year whenever we release Mission Majnu.
All right, so this is Amin from Mumbai. What was the preparation Sid Malhotra did for Shershaah, and what was the routine?
Well, I by far definitely have lived with the script of Shershaah for the longest amount of time than any other script that I have in my career. And I think with that time and interaction with real people attached to the film, whether it's Vikram Batra's brother, whether it's his parents, kind of kept subconsciously preparing me for this lovable Punjabi boy who went on to become this very heroic soldier. So I would say definitely prep went into months before, sitting with the director Vishnuvardhan, sitting with our writer Sandeep. But I think for me, predominantly spending time and going to Vikram Batra's house was one that really changed me emotionally. It kind of gave me an immense amount of responsibility that this lovely, very sweet Batra family in Palampur is going to be watching this film many years later, or many months later at that time. And I felt that I have to give my best to justify their son's life story. So I think that was the biggest prep or the motivating factor that I needed. And the rest, of course, there's so many other factors which I've spoken about in the past, whether it's dialect, whether it's gun training, whether it's body language, whether it's action. And kudos to the whole team for doing it. I feel every film cannot be made by one particular person. So I was lucky enough to have a wonderful team who would help me towards pushing myself, and especially in my most passionate film, which is the life story of Captain Vikram Batra.
All right, this is Aryan Chaudhary from New York, USA. I saw you at the Dream Team Tour concert in New York. Your humility really touched me.
Well, even you were there, Faridoon. I remember you being there backstage and being with us for that show. It was our first show, all of us together, the Student of the Year team, and of course, rest of the actors. It was amazing. I think for us, we don't differentiate between any diaspora, whether we go to the US, whether we go to London, whether we would be in Dubai. There is a massive fan following for Hindi movies and Bollywood, and that's something that I grew up, always dreaming to perform in front of millions of or thousands of fans. And I think Dream Team really was kind of overwhelming in the beginning because it was our first. It was my first time performing. But by the end of it, I remember you've seen us being extremely tired and shuffling from East Coast to West Coast. But as soon as those lights would come on, we would be doing various things. I remember at one point we all started taking off our jackets and performing, whether in ganjis or bare bodies, a certain section, because the energy was such. So I think the NRI, especially in the Dream Team, tour, gave us that immense amount of high and boost on stage that I will remember for the rest of my life, and I really look forward to doing it again, hopefully soon, with a fun bunch. But till then, hoping that things become normal and we can come back and meet them.
Right. So this is I've told you this in our previous interviews, but in Chicago there was this fan of yours who traveled 6 hours just to be there, and she was literally requesting that I just want to meet Sidharth Malhotra. Because see, even if I know that where exactly he is, I don't think it's a good idea for me to just reveal any details whatsoever. But you should be there at the concert. So yeah, so I've seen that craze for you, and we've discussed that in the past, and I'm glad that you are getting your due now. This is Kushagra Mishra from Varanasi. The question is, you have been playing the role of romantic lover in movie. Would you like to play some funny role, or what about playing a villain? You would look great as villain too.
I've tried negative, whether it's an ek villain or whether it's an ittifaq. So I've kind of dabbled with it in those two films, playing kind of grey shades. And comedy is something that I'm actually currently doing right now with Indra Kumar's film, which is Thank God, where me and Ajay Devgn come together for the first time. It's a slice of life comedy where which with a lovely message. And I think that's why I like this light-hearted film so much. So yeah, I think I've done the latter half of what they asked me, and I'm currently doing the first part of the question, which is the comedy film.